Today, Governor John Kasich turned down a call from the Cleveland Police Union head to suspend open carry laws during this convention. The governor said he just doesn't have the authority to do it. Jeff Pegues is covering security here and following the events in Baton Rouge as well. Jeff?
Scott, the reality is threats against police have been high recently. Just 10 days ago, the FBI sent out a bulletin to law enforcement in Louisiana warning of violence. The bulletin cited chatter online calling for people to kill officers in Louisiana. And just last week, the FBI warned local police in Miami of threats. Many departments in that area doubled up on patrols. In fact, many departments across the country today have ordered officers to patrol in pairs. Today, New York, Chicago, and Boston police departments reiterated that order. Some of those directives came after a gunman killed 5 Dallas police officers and wounded another 9 at a rally on July 7th. Here in Cleveland at the convention, police now bracing for the prospect that some of these protests could get out of control. Obviously, complicating matters is this open carry law, but police say, Scott, that they are prepared.
Jeff Pegues in our convention newsroom tonight. On the eve of this convention, the country has been shaken by another deadly act of violence. 6 law enforcement officers were shot this morning in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. 3 are dead. Another is in critical condition tonight. They were ambushed by a gunman that the police identify as a black ex-Marine from Kansas City. The shooting comes less than 2 weeks after a black man was shot to death by white police officers during a struggle with Baton Rouge police. That was followed by the assassination of 5 Dallas officers by a black gunman out for revenge. David Begnaud is in Baton Rouge.
Just before 9 a.m. this morning, officers exchanged gunfire with a suspect less than a mile from police headquarters. Authorities say officers were responding to a 911 call after witnesses saw a man acting suspiciously. He was dressed in all black and carrying a rifle. Once officers confronted the suspect, he started shooting. 6 officers were shot, 3 were killed, and 3 wounded.
Oh, shot fired, officer down, shot fired, officer down.
Calls into 911 captured the terrifying scene.
Shots fired, officer down behind the building. Unknown where the subject shooting from.
Baton Rouge Police Chief Carl Dabadie.
Killed in the line of duty. One is 41 years old and has just under a year of service. The other is 32 years old with 10 years of service.
Police say the suspect is Gavin Eugene Long. He is a 29-year-old black man from Missouri. He was killed at the scene. Long, who is an ex-Marine, is thought to have been the only gunman. Police with heavy arms guarded area hospitals where the wounded officers were treated.
Public safety remains our priority, and we will continue to do our job in the light of what's happened.
Tensions between the police and the Baton Rouge community have been high ever since the shooting death of Alton Sterling at the hands of 2 Baton Rouge police officers. His death and that of Philando Castile, a Minnesota man killed by a cop during a traffic stop, has led to weeks of protests against police brutality across the country. 10 days ago, a gunman in Dallas shot and killed 5 police officers during a Black Lives Matter march. Alton Sterling's 15-year-old son Cameron urged for calm.
All police are bad. They all are bad. There are some that are bad, but all aren't bad. How I feel all police shouldn't be punished for other police's crimes. The police in Dallas, Texas, they didn't deserve that because nobody knew if they had kids to go home to. Those kids need their parents.
And one of the officers killed here in Baton Rouge was the father of a 4-month-old baby boy. Tonight, the crime scene, which is about a half-mile behind me, is still active with area law enforcement. 2 people have been arrested as persons of interest in connection to the shooting. They are being questioned now. And Scott, as for the gunman, we're told he left the U.S. Marine Corps back in 2010 with an honorable discharge.
David Begnaud reporting. Joining us now with some important insight into all of this is Bill Bratton. He's the New York City Police Commissioner and the former police chief in Los Angeles. Commissioner, how do the police help to stop this cycle of violence?
Well, first off, I think it's quite clear that we are in perilous times, the country and the police profession. And the dual obligation of the police is certainly to protect the public while at the same time trying to protect themselves. That we're in uncharted waters here at this particular point in time in American policing, world policing for that matter. That we have the now new threats of terrorism, we have the assassination issues, we have always the concern about crime. And so policing in America is getting a lot more difficult. Fortunately, that American policing has stood up to these challenges in the past and will work very hard to stand up to them again.
You had 2 officers shot and killed, targeted, sitting in their police car. I wonder, what did you change after that? What did you learn from that?
We changed quite a bit. We had 2 of our police officers in uniform sitting in a marked car who were assassinated. An individual who had traveled up by train from Baltimore. It was during the time of all the turmoil of Ferguson and the Eric Garner chokehold matter here in New York. They were murdered because they were police officers. That was the motivation. Since that time, we have done a lot in New York. We have thoroughly changed our training. Technology, for example, the smartphones. I have 35,000 of these now out in the field. The tragedy of that event, we received notice that this individual was coming to New York. We got the information just about the same time those 2 officers were being murdered. Today, we have put out continual notifications to our officers, updating every one of our 35,000 on what is happening, photographs if we have them when we have suspects. So we've done a lot on the technology side, but as importantly, we've done a lot on the community side, the idea of building relationships, building trust. It's quite clear that in a lot of our communities, particularly minority communities, there is not trust in American policing. There's not trust in American government for that matter. And we need to find ways to see each other, to hear each other, to find common ground that we can stand on and have dialogue, and not assassinations, not murders, not violence.
Bill Bratton, Commissioner of the New York City Police Department. Commissioner Bratton, thanks for your time.